Good morning.
Good morning. Feels like we haven't talked in like a month.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we accidentally went longer than we meant to between things, or like we canceled one and then skipped something. And
Yeah, I want to apologize to the listeners. We don't like to have 2-week gaps. And yeah, I think what happened was we had texted back and forth like 2 weeks ago, and we're like, I don't have a whole lot this week. Do you? And you're like, no, not too much. And then I realized I had my winter escape to Mexico on the calendar the next week, and that just totally eliminated our opportunity to record that week too. So, stuff happens.
We're back.
We're back.
It's like that workout thing where they say like never miss 2 in a row. That should be our thing.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta skip any individual one. All right, fine, but try not to. Don't make it multiple.
Yes, this will not become a habit.
Well, it's good to see you again in the flesh.
Yeah, you too. I should be a little more tanned than the last, although I look very white in this video.
Yeah, you don't look tan, I'm going to be honest with you.
It's the lighting, Ben. It's the lighting.
It is. I got one of those Elgato key lights to install behind my thing, but I haven't. This is hilarious. So it's a Wi-Fi connected light, and it has software to control it, which is cool because you don't need an external controller or buttons or whatever. And I went to install it, and it was like, you need Catalina to use this, and so I have to upgrade my operating system to control my light.
That's amazing. You know what I really love too? Like, I have some of these Hue bulbs in my house so that I can voice command them or run them off my phone, which I'm convinced is really not the best way to operate lights most of the time. It's like sometimes it's convenient, but most of the time it's not. But then you can buy like these Wi-Fi switches. So you can effectively control it through this Wi-Fi connected IoT piece of crap that's on your network that has a lag when you click it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
I did the Hue bulb thing for a while, and it was kind of fun, and like occasionally it's pretty nice. It's like nice to be in bed and to just tell Schmexa like, hey, turn the lights off. That's kind of cool. But most of the time it was just like, oh, I can't actually do this because whatever. And then like someone would like turn off the actual physical switch, and then the light would stop working, so I'd just be yelling at this thing, and like there's always man. Silliness.
I know. Meanwhile, the people behind the clapper were like, guys, we've been doing this since the 90s.
Sometimes the old ways are best.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your world?
Yeah, it's been an interesting last couple of weeks for me. Yeah, I got that escape to Mexico, which was really nice.
By the way, tans are bad. Don't get tan.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to. Let's be real.
Bad's a strong word, but it's skin damage.
Yes, it is.
You probably don't want too much of it.
Here's how bad, here's how white I am. And that Minnesota makes me especially weak. I was just sitting like in a shaded cabana thing, and I really didn't get any deliberate sun exposure, but I think there was just enough UV seeping through that I did actually get a bit burned on parts of me pretty uniformly. Like, I've had sunscreen on too, but it just didn't matter. Like, I don't know, 6 hours in shade outside, and just enough UV.
I mean, it reflects, right? It bounces around, so you can't. Yeah. It's hard to block all of it.
Yeah. So no, I don't make a habit of that either, thankfully. But
I'm now the guy at the beach with the surf shirt kind of thing, like the long sleeve shirt that's like light and breathable, and then like those bucket hats with the brim all the way around.
Yeah.
It's so sexy. It's the best look. I'm definitely looking real cool.
That's I'm in my 30s and know the risks of these activities.
It is the 30s uniform for sure.
Yep. So, but tans and sunburns aside, I got some time to kind of step back from the grind and read some stuff and restock my brain with perspective and ideas. And the book I chose to read, which felt very well timed, was, I actually didn't even realize it when I picked this one out. It had been recommended through another, I can't even remember how it came on my radar, called Competing with Luck, which is the Jobs to Be Done theory, like, thesis book. But I mean, the premise behind it, the way he phrases it, competing with luck, he's kind of trying to debunk ultimately the idea that in order to build a successful business, you have to get lucky. You have to just the right concoction of things have to happen at once for this thing to just magically come about. And I think that is the path that a lot of people take to arrive at something that works really well. But his whole thesis is like there is a process you can you can follow that will greatly increase your odds of being the lucky one. Kind of a way to engineer the process of like discovering the root cause of what causes people to quote unquote hire products to solve problems for them. I mean, it's kind of just a reframing of something that's very intuitive, that like, yes, of course, people buy products when they have a problem they need to solve. But I mean, the way that he reframes it around, like, you need to ask yourself, like, what progress are your customers trying to make on something in their life? And what's the actual like context around the decision to actually pull the trigger on buying a product? And oftentimes when you look at things through that lens, it yields like much deeper reasons than like the ones that are kind of obvious on the surface. Like,
right. Or easy to get. Like, how did you hear about us?
Right. And like, if you have an existing product, asking questions like, what would you change to make you happier with the product? You know, like, he uses a mattress example of like the worst thing to ask in order to figure out how to grow your mattress business is to ask people like, hey, how can we make this better? Should it be springier or softer or whatever? Like, that's not the right line of questioning. It's like, you need to get to the root cause of like, what causes people to actually make the decision to go out and buy a mattress, and what's going on in their head, and how can we speak to that particular pain, right? I mean, the idea is to interview people. You need to learn about their lives. You need to learn about their context. And I mean, it should be probably kind of centered around the problem space that you have in mind. So I think of it as like, you need to form some hypotheses, but you also need to stay fairly zoomed out to get the full context around what else is going on in their head, in their life, in their decision-making process, in order to kind of figure out how best to speak to the problem, the root
Yeah.
problem.
I noticed your questions on Twitter had zoomed up a level of abstraction.
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, it's probably clear, anyone who's kind of been seeing what I've been, publicly tweeting and polling and prodding at, I am in the process right now of kind of hedging my opportunity bets. So StaticKit is still very much a going concern. It has customers, it's running, but I mean, it continues, like, gaining meaningful traction continues to be a challenge with this. And I think there are certainly some aspects of the business model that give me pause, like an inherent high degree of price sensitivity that's just a quality of this type of product, right? The fact that there are lots of different options kind of speaking to the same value proposition. And I think I have some unique twists on it that make it particularly nice, but is that enough? Or is it like, well, really, I don't care about your unique twist that much, and I'm just going to go with the $4 a month thing? Like, it's a lot of kind of race to the bottom type competitiveness in the space. And I think my goal all along has been to break out of that and to kind of take the innovation in this, like, what's the next step beyond just basic form endpoints that this group of people needs, and like getting that confidence in like how can I make this more valuable for people has proved like I still don't have clarity on that. And this is very much a process, like the jobs to be done thing. If StaticKit is going to move forward and gain traction and gain product market fit, like that's what I need clarity on for that business, right? And so I am sort of splitting my efforts between trying to like get to the underlying jobs behind why people hire StaticKit for things, and then also kind of doing some exploration in separate spaces, because I've just really become convinced that like this is the single most important thing to get right out of the gate, is like fundamentally identifying who are the people that are looking to make progress on something, and how can you speak directly to that. My hope is that I know that SaaS always takes a long time, or takes longer than you want it to take, right? But my hope is that by being very deliberate in this phase and really kind of engineering this process of identifying these jobs, that you can skip some of the hard stuff at the beginning and get kind of closer to product user fit or product market fit, or whatever you want to call it.
Totally. Yeah. And hopefully like building a thing that people are more, that is like less of a nice to have and more of like, yeah, this is actually like a real thing that I want to solve. I care about this enough this week to suffer some pain of onboarding or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and like another thing that just is true about StaticKit, that it is someone has pointed this out to me. It's a thing that a lot of people certainly feel like they can just build themselves, and they can, and the kind of natural path for the tricky part about inserting yourself as a developer tool in a developer's tool chain is that they will reach the point, either they're not thinking rationally about it on the build versus buy equation, and they're just like, nah, I'm just going to build this, or they want to geek out of it. Like this is a quote unquote easy task for them to to spend their time on, to procrastinate on a harder task, right? Or inevitably, if they get to the point where they want complete control and flexibility, ultimately they want to own all the code in this process. Maybe. It's like if the project gets interesting enough and high value enough, then people are kind of likely to go roll their own anyways in a custom setup. And so how do you keep your product, those are the people it's most valuable for, but then how do you make it compelling enough so that they're still wanting to use your thing and not just, ditch it once they're ready to kind of go for real.
Totally. Have you read the Paul Graham essay about schleps?
I probably have, but remind me what.
Schlep is a Yiddish word for like a painful journey, or like a thing that's annoying to do. And his theory was basically like a good product basically has to do a schlep for you. It has to sound like a schlep from the outside to actually be a good idea. And like static form endpoints sounds a little bit like, ooh, that could be fun. I could see how you would do this, and I could think of some interesting ways to do this. But you actually probably need to build something that sounds like, oh God, I do not want to be responsible for doing X.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like you have to decide what schlep sounds good to you that you would enjoy working on for a while.
Right, because you have to take that on and do the schlep yourself.
Yeah, if you don't schlep, it's not going to be that useful because you're not saving someone the schlep. So
yeah, you guys had to learn Swift and C and all the Rust and all these like gnarly things, and like,
yes, indeed.
And yet you conquered it, and now like no one thinks, like, I love Tuple for this illustration because like no one thinks I'm going to just go ahead and roll my own remote pair programming tool.
Yes.
Like you would never think about doing that. So
it is good for that reason for sure. Yeah.
So
I think that was sort of like one of my thoughts about StaticKit was just like there's not enough of a schlep there maybe to be like to scare someone away from it basically.
Yeah. Nope. That's a really good point. So, I mean, I can say broadly, like the area that and this comes as no surprise if you've seen my tweets, like I'm getting at kind of the realm of managing your time and your calendar and your productivity. And, one thing I learned from the level time period is that there is a lot of pain around that from a lot of different angles for a lot of different people. There's, and certainly different segments manage it differently. Individual contributors, makers on teams have a completely different type of schedule than managers, and who have a different schedule than kind of founders and leaders who are kind of wearing many hats and dabbling in kind of maker stuff and in managerial type stuff. And so I think there's unique challenges for each of these groups, and there's potentially always room for kind of an innovation in this realm. And I think a lot of tooling that is around schedule management and calendaring is very broad, very general. And what that says to me is there might be some opportunity to niche down a bit into still a very large niche, but a niche nonetheless, who has kind of more unique demands or is trying to make progress on things in a way that a general purpose tool is not really helping them do that. And so that's kind of the angle that I'm exploring.
Cool. I'm excited to see what happens there.
Yeah. And I am actually, I'm engaging, doing kind of jobs to be done interviews right now. So I think they're pretty fun to do, like on the interviewee side, because it really just me peppering you with questions, learning about your life. And, you get to,
and what's more fun than talking about yourself?
Exactly. Yeah. You get to be introspective, and you get to reflect on some things. I hopefully they're interesting questions. So, if you are interested in helping me out and sharing your story with me, do hit me up either on Twitter at Derek Reimer or derek@derekreimer.com. Email me. We can get something scheduled, because that would really help me out a lot. So, yeah.
Do it, people. Help Derek out.
Please. Hit me up.
Cool. I'm imagining things in my head of maker schedules and manager schedules and how your calendar looks and how it's chopped up versus not. And quality scores of amount of focus time, and there could be some interesting things. The thing I like about it is that there's pain, like people that are getting interrupted, or like there's definitely could be some pain there, and also if you can make people more productive, you're unlocking something really truly good for the world.
Yes. Yeah. No, and that's what I always loved about Level, was that it was really, you don't always get to work on something that's somewhat missional, somewhat like I can really, because there's no shame in building an app that's like, it's a CRM tool for this niche, and I really don't like have any like like real missional component to it. It's just a line of business application that needs to exist, and it was an opportunity that I seized, and that's fine. But I think it's doubly better when you can also get like some kind of core to it that's like, oh yeah, this is actually something that I think will make the world a better place, and not just a marginal improvement for some niche. And so that's also, I think that would be something that would help keep me going, if I can see it helping people make progress in that way.
Totally.
So,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So what's going on in your world? I think a lot.
We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll probably start with the fact that we are looking to hire a part-time developer, which is pretty cool.
It's a big step, man.
Yeah, it is a big step. We're starting part-time. We're kind of dipping our toe in the water. I think some of it's just like expanding beyond the original 3 is a little scary. Also, just budgeting wise, it's nice to start kind of low a little bit. But yeah, we're looking for someone to sort of to pair with Spencer and be another set of hands on the engineering side with Mac OS / C++ kind of experience. Hopefully someone that has deep knowledge in so Tuple has a ridiculous amount of domains and technologies in it. So no one knows all of them. But so we're hoping to find someone that has deep knowledge in like some of it. Like maybe he's really great at C++ or like knows a ton about real-time streaming or is a WebRTC expert or something, like sort of really deep on something, and then has like some experience with the rest. So we can kind of like level up Spencer and increase the team's knowledge and then also be, productive on the other parts. So yeah, so I put up a thing. We're getting a decent number of applications, which it's cool. It is nice to have a following and an audience. That sure is handy.
Mm-hmm. I thought the job posting was really well written too. I mean, no surprise there. But I think it especially stood out to me. Like, here's why you would want to work with us. Here's why you might not want to work with us. And I mean, I think companies could certainly use that as a gimmicky way to be like, we're, if you don't like working with people who are too nice, maybe you wouldn't like working with, like they could use that in a way that's like really slimy. But I felt like yours was just honest. Like the things you pointed out were like, no, these genuinely might be things you don't want. And I think it was really crafty because you can kind of, by putting those up front, it like kind of, you want to have strong filters with this type of position, right? You don't want someone coming in who has a vision of what their job might look like when in reality it doesn't look like that. So
yeah, and it's, to me, in a way, that's kind of the best sales technique is like, don't try to be pushing everyone towards it. Don't pretend that there's no downsides to it. I feel like by admitting that there are drawbacks or reasons that we might not be a good fit for each other, you build more trust. And also then, let people self-select. So I just think it's a good way to quote unquote sell almost anything, actually. People can go read that. It's up on our site if they care. People tend to ask I created like an application if you are applying, and people tend to ask for questions. They usually like to know what my survey questions are. So I figured I would just share them here just because like when I ran that survey at the beginning of the year to ask our customers how things were going, I got a lot of people asking me for those questions. So I'm just going to share them once here and save myself the emails just in case. So basically after catching some basic things like name, email, and where they are, I ask, what's your background and what are you interested in? Which is a question I actually stole from the Stripe job application. And these are all free text. So we don't ask for a resume or anything. I just write and tell us stuff. The next question is, why are you interested in working with us specifically? And then how can we get a sense of your abilities? Can you link us to something or provide code samples? And again, that's like intentionally kind of vague. Like if you want to point to a portfolio or a single app or whatever, or links to something else, blog posts, that's just sort of general. And then what are you currently trying to improve about yourself? And that's just to sort of like flesh out our view of them as a person. I think that's kind of just an interesting question to ask people in general.
Maybe a narcissistic person or someone with like a certain strong personality tendency towards something negative. That my question would probably reveal quite a bit about them. So,
Sure. Yeah, it's less there to like, catch people who are super weird and more just to like I think it's kind of an interesting chance to reveal something about yourself. Like it sort of talks about your passions and where you want to be going and what you are maybe not as satisfied with and want to change, which I think is interesting. And then there's just a general catch-all, like anything else you want to tell us? And that's it.
Yeah. I know you guys have really enjoyed being in the same space together, not remote. I noticed this is a remote posting.
It is remote. Yeah, I actually have very conflicting feelings around this. So I much prefer in-person work. I really love human interaction and in-person stuff. That's a face-to-face. I'm all about it. It's harder to hire someone if they have to be in Boston, and we don't even really have an office. So bringing on someone and being like, Joel, can this person also come to your house? And does this person want to come to your house and work in a second bedroom? And it's like, it would be a big change to go from to add a in-person human right now. We do work remotely at times. I went to the Vineyard for a month. Spencer went to Maine for a while. We want to have the ability to be sometimes remote. I think Spencer is more interested in like possibly even being full-time remote at some point. So I don't think we actually quite have consensus on this. Maybe there's a battle coming or like a conflict coming. I'm not sure. But for this thing, it makes sense for remote just because of the space constraints, and it's a fairly small commitment. We're not hiring a W-2 full-time person kind of thing. So it's not, if remote turns out to not work or something, it's like, okay, well, this is not a huge thing to unwind.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing like a WeWork type thing or something where you guys have a
there's a co-working space right in the nearby square that would conceivably work. We looked at it in the beginning when we had no revenue, and we're like, actually, this is way too we're not going to rent an office now. This is way too expensive. But now we could afford it, so we have an option to expand into that. And just the other day, actually, I was walking and I saw a sign on an office building that said "Office for Rent," and I walked over and I looked in the windows and I was like, interesting. It was funny to be in that position where suddenly that sign was like, oh yeah, maybe I do want that. For like my whole life, that would never have registered. But now it's like, oh, maybe we do want an office. Let me go look at this. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was a fun moment when Drip officially had our first office, and it was like there was a lot of energy in the building because it was like a bunch of small tech companies kind of taking over this. It was not a particularly nice building. This is like the VO.1 for what became a much nicer building in Fresno back when we were there. But it was cool to be around other people doing kind of cool tech stuff, and we were in this tiny little office. Our chairs would knock into each other when we rolled them back, but there was something like very quaint about that, and I always have fond memories of coming into the office, and it just, I don't know, something about it felt different than meeting on Rob's back porch, which was fun. But yeah,
I could see that. It feels more like you're like, all right, I'm going to work. This is a business. We're doing business things.
Yeah, it feels like progress or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So that's interesting. Two other sort of like large topics. One thing is, man, writing is better than talking when it comes to like business communication. So I had a couple experiences recently. So one is we were working from home, and Joel and I were kind of going back and forth about this feature that we want to build. And because we were working from home, we couldn't really talk about it. Actually, I wanted to talk about it, and Joel was like, why don't you write something up and then I'll read it and think about it, which was a great suggestion, because forcing myself to write it up made it clearer in my head, and really sort of solidified it. And then Joel came back with some excellent objections that were clear, and he had time to sort of think through and write up. And then I came back with some other stuff. And I think the final decision that we made was much better than if we had a conversation about it. And we've had this experience of talking about a thing for a while, and we don't really get anywhere with it. Like concrete stuff doesn't come out of it. And our thoughts are not very structured. But when you have time to read a thing and process it and then write your response and be like, do I agree with this? Is this actually how I feel? Actually, no, let me go change this. Oh, let me like write this up. It's just the quality of the communication was more efficient and better, I think.
Yeah. And I think a trap that a lot of people fall into, because I recognize this in myself, where like, should this be an email chain or should we just hash this out real quick, quote unquote, real quick in person? And I think I a lot of times have the perception that like it's going to just be faster and more efficient to talk about this than do it over writing. But in reality, I mean, if you think about it, you're compressing your ability to think things through in the back and forth into a stretch of seconds as opposed to minutes or hours.
And then there's no like durable artifact. Like other people, it's harder for people to like catch up on that thing or for you to refer back to it. When like procurement people reach out to me or sales things reach out to me now, often they're like, how do we connect? Like, should we do a call? And that seems to be the default in the sales world. And maybe that makes the most sense because like face-to-face interaction builds more affinity and that helps you build trust and all that. So this might be a bit of a special case. But I notice when I say, I'm happy to do a call, here's my Calendly, but if you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them here. And usually what I find is they have 2 questions. The default and what feels easiest is like, let me talk to this person. And I think the reason is like you don't quite know what your questions are yet. You just have this like, I want to accomplish this goal. Let me go talk to a person who can help me. But if you take the time to like sit and be like, what actually are my questions? There's fewer of them. And I've experienced this also with security assessments. So we've gotten very busy lately. And so when people send me these like giant security questionnaires, I've been saying, hey, to be honest, like we're very swamped right now and we're a small team. Here's our security page. If your security folks have questions that aren't answered here, I'm more than happy to answer them. Just let me know, and then I'll update the doc too. And what I find is people will send me a security questionnaire that has probably 120 questions on it, free text. And when I do this move, their security person will come back with like 8 things, 6 of which are usually already on our security page. It's easy to make someone else think about the things, but being forced to like, what do I actually need to know? What actually has to happen here? It's a little bit like a call kind of just pushes the work into this amorphous thing that you both are then doing versus here's a written version of this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think it's that fallacy of like it feels like, oh, let's just deal with this synchronously and this will be more efficient. But in reality, it's like, doesn't give people a chance to think, and it doesn't give you a chance. Like if you just take a second to assess, like what information have I been provided? What information do I need filled in? It is actually more efficient. And
the questionnaire is maybe not the best example because it is written. So kudos to like actually having a written version. That's nice, right? Then I can do it asynchronously. But just this, I'm sort of thinking this in general as like writing versus talking, but also kind of saying no by default. Like I'm trying to be a little bit more guarded with my time. So it's like if I can skip a call and have it be an email, or skip a giant security assessment and have it be an email, these are worth real benefits to the business. And so I try at least, and a lot of times it seems to be working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's good. And that's like the Amazon thing too. Like before they go into meetings, you have to do like a write-up, right? And that's
right. Yeah, you can't bring an issue to like the leadership team unless it is in the form of a written memo. And so the meeting starts with everyone reads the memo and then they make a decision. Because even if you're reading it in the meeting, it's more efficient than discussing it live. Yeah, because someone has taken the time to like really flesh it out and provide all the data you might want to know and put it into a coherent thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I function best, getting my thoughts transmitted to people. I feel like, I mean, I've been in a fair number of meetings, did a lot of meetings back after the Drip acquisition, when there was just a lot of stakeholders to gather together in the room and talk about stuff. And I'm not one who is like extremely vocal in meetings usually, because I'm taking in all this information that's just flying around. And like, for me, it would be much nicer if I could just like get this in writing, be able to digest it and respond in kind. That definitely aligns with how I think. And so I feel like I'm often not utilizing all of my problem solving capability when it's all just
totally. Well, you sort of can't, right? Like,
no,
you need to let your subconscious chew on it and kind of walk around and let your brain process it. And if you're in a synchronous conversation, you don't have that time. Yeah. Actually, one of the best calls I think I did was when I was considering leaving my job, and I was actually reached out to Rob, and I was like, hey, can I talk to you about a thing I'm thinking about doing? And he was like, sure. And so he scheduled a time. And the evening before the call, I sat down and I wrote up, like, here's my situation, and here are like 3 questions I have for you. And I sent it over. And then when the call started the next day, he was like, thank you so much for doing that. That was really useful. I had a chance to kind of like noodle on these overnight. And so I have thoughts on them. And he was already up to speed. I didn't have to say, here's what's going on. And it was just like, all right, let's go. And we had like a really good, really productive conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So recommended. Writing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good trick. It's a good technology. We should keep it.
Yeah, let's keep it. Let's keep it.
Okay, so my last thing.
Yeah.
I had an interesting day yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. It's like, we're experiencing some high volume.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, so it turns out a lot of the world is working from home now. Much more people than before, and so demand for a tool that might help you work from home is very high at the moment. And so around 9 o'clock or 9:30, I got an email from our largest customer saying like, hey, how's your scaling? Hope you're ready for some volume. And it was just like this cryptic 2-word email. And I was like, okay, and I responded, I was like, I think we're good. Basically, several hundred additional people from this customer signed up within like a 2-hour period in the morning. We have a bit of a time bomb in our code, which was we had a very inefficient algorithm for pushing updates of who was online. So imagine you're on a 100-person team and some new person comes online. We would basically need to broadcast, hey, there's a new person online. But we didn't want to mess around with having local state of like, so we didn't send like a diff of like, okay, now this new person's online. We would instead say, here's the list of online users. The list of online users is actually not a one-time calculation because you have a team that is all your coworkers, but you can also add friends outside your organization. So every user has their own list of online users.
Yep.
So every time someone would come online, we would have to go through every user, find all of the online users that they knew about, so their whole team plus all their friends, and then send that out to them. So this basically worked until a point. We knew this was naive. It was one of those like, let's just ship it. You know, like when we wrote this, we had like probably 4 users total. And so it was like, well, this is dumb, but it works, and let's just move on to the next thing. We have other problems. But the time bomb basically went off yesterday morning.
So DDoSing yourself.
Yeah, we totally DDoSed ourselves. So what happened was we have these background jobs that do the updates. But because this team hit a certain size where this just like the quadratic just got big enough that like now each update of someone coming on or off was taking like 10 minutes. It was just like it almost effectively never finished. And it was also stale almost immediately because someone was coming on, like someone was signing up every couple minutes. And so what happened was all of no matter how many workers we spun up, they would eventually just get completely saturated, stuck behind these slow running jobs. And
queue problems.
Yeah, so our queue exploded.
Yeah.
And it appeared that like, and basically the app was hosed. So like no one was getting updates. The cool thing was, because it's peer-to-peer, if you could see who was online, you could still pair with them because that doesn't involve our servers, which is cool. So it wasn't 100% down, but if you like signed in and you didn't have the latest version of who was online, it could be a long time until you got it. So we were effectively down. The good news was Spencer has actually been working on a fix for this for about a month. The way that the online users list works is that we connect via action cable to our Heroku instances. And so we maintain these like, thousands of connections to various dynos. Heroku doesn't really love this. It's not a great fit for their service. All our indications were kind of like, this is not quite how you should do this.
And like when you restart, if you deploy, it like drops all the connections, right?
Correct. Yes. So when we would deploy, it would drop all the connections, which would then queue up, several thousand background jobs that we're never going to finish because they were stuck behind the big jobs.
Yes.
So we were just like, it's just like the architecture was, it worked for a while, but it was just like not ideal.
Yep.
So Spencer has been working out. We had lunch with someone and we were talking about this and he was like, oh man, yeah, WebSockets is one of those things that I always outsource.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, there's like services that just handle, streaming connections and presence channels and messages. And I was like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
So it turns out there's just things that just do this. So we looked at a couple and we ended up moving forward with this company called Ably, which literally just does this. They have servers all over the world. They automatically, put you on the right one based on where you're located. They have great uptime. They're very fast. They are good at, sending lots of messages to lots of clients. They're good at keeping lots of connections active. It's just like, it's their bread and butter. It's what they do. And we didn't have to do it ourselves anymore. So it's like, oh my God, this is great. But it's a big change. So we didn't want to push it out to everyone all at once. So Spencer did the brutal task of abstracting what it means to connect to an online users list away so that we could use Action Cable for most of our customers and then test Ably on a small percentage of our customers, which was a heroic effort. So we'd been testing this on several teams for a while, but not that long, like a week maybe. Data looked good, seemed to work. They had not been complaining, but we had not rolled it out more generally. And yesterday morning, it was like, all right, we're kind of hosed. Maybe it's time to move this giant customer over to this architecture as well. And so we decided to do it. So there were a couple little UX things we had to change real fast and some decisions we had to make. And then we decided, all right, let's do it. And so we did the deploy and moved that large customer over to this new system, and it worked great. Immediately, just the load on the servers fell to nothing. We scaled down our dynos, we shrunk our dynos, we scaled down our workers. It was just like, it was working, and it took all the load off, and the problem was solved, and it was like, what a day.
Man, yeah, that takes me back. I mean, gosh, there's so many instances like this with involving queues and inefficient things with an alternative solution waiting in the wings. And
yes.
Should we pull the trigger on that? I mean, it is, in hindsight, you will look back on this with in not as bad as it felt in the time, right? but
yeah, I mean, it felt bad, but we were honestly also kind of in good spirits. I think, I don't know, it was still. I don't think we quite freaked out fully. I would say if it had kept going, we didn't have an eye on we think this will fix it. It would have been it'd be a different state.
Yes.
But yeah, it was honestly, and the fact that we figured it out, it basically felt kind of fun. It was a fun day. It was cool. And so now we're planning on moving over more teams to this new setup, and this new setup is actually better. So the new thing basically is now, rather than having your that basic algorithm of any change to your team updates everyone, is just pretty hard to make work on bigger teams at all. And so now we give you a team directory, and you befriend specific people that you care about, and we only update their status. So it's just much more efficient, because on a team of hundreds of people, you're not pairing with hundreds of people. You don't care about the online status of almost anybody on that list, and you have to go through them or search through them to find the person you care about. So now you basically flag somebody as, I care about this person. You get only their online updates, and they're pulled to the top of your list, so you don't have to scroll through a giant list of your coworkers. So it's basically it's better UX, it's better architecture, it's pushing a critical piece of our infrastructure onto someone that specializes it. So I'm very excited to start rolling this out to everyone, basically. And now I feel like we are set up to handle the scaling issues that are coming down the pipe.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's so awesome that you're peer-to-peer and don't have to worry about
Yes.
shepherding those bits between people.
Totally. Yeah. As long as we get the list of users online, right? We're good. And I feel like we're now there. So, or we have a short hop to fully managing that. So feels super good.
Nice. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Wow. That'll go down in the tuple history books as a great episode in just-in-time problem solving.
Yes. To be clear, the fact that we could ship this was because Spencer had been working hard on this for a while, and this solution was actually waiting and ready and tested, and we couldn't have started from zero today and been okay, how do we move this critical piece out? That would have totally not worked. So it was kind of the result of hard work and a bit of forethought of hey, we should probably have an answer to this, and prioritization. And for the last month or so, he's been working on this, but it didn't actually solve a problem we had exactly, right? The old system basically just worked. And so it was like for the last month, it has felt a little bit like, this is like not a thing that the customers are going to love. They're not really going to see it. It's an infrastructure thing. It feels like we're not shipping new features. And it felt kind of crappy until it was like, wow, we really need this thing right now. And it's already done. Yeah. Hallelujah.
Yeah, we got to the point, this was pre-acquisition at Drip, when we would regularly kind of sync up on like, okay, what's going to break in the next 3 to 6 months, and like outline those things, and then really just allocate our time accordingly. Like, okay, what progress we want to make on this during that time frame that will hopefully push us out another 3 to 6 months.
Smart, I like that.
And I mean, it got to the point where we just kind of had to keep that background infrastructure thread on the docket all the time, even though we really wanted to just say like, we'll worry about that when it comes and we'll keep pushing features.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's something smart. We should probably have a chat like that. Like, what'll break next, do we think?
Yeah. It's not a bad, thought experiment or back and forth written chain to engage in,
Yep. Yeah. So, so that was a heck of experience. I feel good. It was like pretty fun. And now I feel like, all right, bring it on. We're ready to rock.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you might be getting a lot more usage, and
just might happen
with this remote work compulsory trend going on. So
totally. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it. I gotta go do a workout now.
All right. Get your sweat on. Show notes.
Show notes can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.